A very good morning to all of you. We have been dealing with post colonialism, the final chapter from your syllabus. In yesterday's lecture, or in even day before yesterday as well, we talked about post colonialism and its historical development. Uh, in We further talked about the assumptions. We understood that all post colonialist critics believe uh, that European colonialism did occur. The British Empire was at the center of this colonialism, and the conquerors, means the winners, the victors, dominated not only the physical land but also the hegemony or ideology of the colonized peoples. Okay, that's what we understood, and we talked about the three groups of post-colonial theory. So one, those who have been academically trained and are living in the West, that is group number one, or category we can say. Category number two consists of those who were raised in non-Western cultures but now reside in the West. And category number three comprises those subaltern writers living and writing in non-Western cultures. And then we went on talking about the critics like Frantz Fanon, who is rather considered as the earliest post-colonial theorist, and he's well known for his text, two influential texts, which provided the base for post-colonialism and the debate over it. Black Skin, White Mask of 1952 and The Rest of the Earth. And we understood how these colonial countries tried to establish the identity of the other, the non-European, non-Western people. Now, the next critique that we are going to understand is Edward Wadi Said. He lived between 1935 to 2003. His key text, Orientalism, helped in establishing the post-colonial theory. This particular text was published in the year 1978. When we talk about his origin, he is a Palestinian American theorist and critic. He was born in Jerusalem and he lived with his family there until the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Then they became refugees. His family became refugees in Egypt and then Lebanon. Uh, Said was educated at Princeton and Harvard universities. Later, he taught at the Johns Hopkins University. So, as a professor, he authored a variety of texts, including this particular book I refer to, Orientalism. He's very well known for this particular book. So, in this particular work, Said rather rebukes, reprimands, or chastises the literary world. He criticizes the literary world, rebukes for not investigating and taking seriously the study of colonization or imperialism. He criticizes the literary writers for not investigating these things or not taking it seriously. And he developed several concepts which are crucial, significant to post-colonial theory. Means you cannot understand post-colonial theory without understanding these concepts. According to Said, 19th century Europeans, always try to justify their territorial conquest. Territorial conquest means the conquest of the other countries. Means, for example, India, British ruled over India, British ruled over other such countries. For example, West Indies. Okay. many South Asian countries. We yesterday understood almost one third of the land in the world was conquered by Britishers, by such a small country it is. So even France and other European nations, they tried to justify their conquest, territorial conquest, means winning of these lands, taking control of these nations, countries. For justifying themselves, they propagated, they, they came up with a propaganda that propagated a manufactured belief, which is called Orientalism. This is not the original belief as such. It is manufactured, means according to their convenience, they develop this particular belief that is called Orientalism. Orient is concerning to the east side. You might be knowing that Eastern, where East and West we talk about. So Orient is East. So this Orientalism means the creation of non-European stereotypes. They created non-European stereotypes. Now, what are stereotypes? Stereotypes are is a kind of typical representation of the people, a oversimplified representation of people. Means describing people in a particular way. For example, Indians or Africans were described in a particular manner. So their stereotypical images were created by these European countries to defend themselves. So these non-European stereotypes suggested that so-called Orientals. Now these Orientals mean the people from Orient nations, non-European people or Eastern people were indolent. Indolent means lazy, thoughtless. They lack thoughts, sexually immoral, unreliable, and even they were demented. Means it's a kind of mental disorder where they lacked the ability to think properly. So all these kind of words were used to describe the non-European people. According to these Western or European people, the Orientals were indolent, thoughtless, sexually immoral, unreliable, and demented. They lacked the ability to think. There was a mental disorder. So that is how they created the stereotypes. Means all non-Europeans, means all Orientals were like this according to them. So these European conquerors, according to Said, believed that they were accurately describing the inhabitants of their newly acquired lands in the east. Okay, they believed, not Said. These Europeans, the conquerors means winners, those who win by battle. Okay, they took control of these nations, and they thought that they accurately described the inhabitants, the people living in these particular lands. But Said thinks that these Europeans failed to realize that all human knowledge can be viewed only through one's political, cultural, and ideological framework. So they looked at the non-European people, or what we call the people of the East, from the Western framework. Means it can be the Western political framework, cultural framework, or ideological framework. From their framework, they were described, not from the objective framework. Because Edward Said believes that no theory, either political or literary, can be totally objective. No theory can be totally objective. It has its own framework. Everyone looks from their own perspective. Therefore, you cannot describe one theory as objective as such. So, as science is objective, and in science you can prove something. But in social sciences, in humanities, it is not possible. So as a result, what happened? The colonizers were revealing what the colonizers were revealing was that their unconscious desires for power means they were revealing, showing through these kind of what we call ideology, through these kind of stereotypical presentations or descriptions of the Orientalists or Orientals, what they were doing, the European people, they were or colonizers were doing was that they were showing their unconscious desires for power, wealth, and domination. They wanted to get power. East India Company, for example, came to India with the purpose of trade, but unconsciously they desired for power, and gradually they became the rulers. First, they occupied the land of Bengal in India, and there onwards they expanded their what we call their rule all over India. So they came as the traders, and then they started ruling the nation. So everything that happened because of their unconscious desires for power, and they wanted to earn, they wanted to take away the wealth from these colonies, and they wanted to dominate the colonized people, colonized subject. Okay, so that is how these theories came into being. In his another book, apart from Orientalism, he has written one more book called Culture and Imperialism in the year 1993. He captures the basic thought behind colonization and imperialism. What was the motive? What was the basic thought behind colonization? Vasatikaran, that is what we call in Marathi, and Samrajyavad, that is imperialism. So, what was the reason behind it? So, I quote Said here: they are not like us, and for that reason deserve to be ruled. That was the European ideology, European way of thinking. Means the non-European are not like us, like them, and that is the reason they deserve to be ruled. So the colonized countries, people become the other, the not me. Means they were other, not me. So this particular bifurcation between me and other was created to justify themselves. This binary opposition of the West and the other was established. Therefore, Said thinks that it must be abolished, it must be discarded, it must be stopped now. There shouldn't be any kind of binary opposition. All the human have got equal abilities. One should not be judged in terms of color, in terms of what we call their physical structure and all. Okay, so it must be abolished along with this intricate web of racial and religious prejudices. So this has, the complex web of racial and religious perspective of looking at the things. They looked at other religions apart from Christianity from a different perspective. So these are the things that Said represents, or Said describes, presents in his book, in his text. He declares that what must be rejected is the vision, the mentality of writers who want to describe the Orient from a panoramic view. A panoramic view means, once you capture the image and then you start describing that. Means the view should not be that much static. The images of the Orient are not static. We are we are, dynamic people. We, in a sense, any human being. But what happens? The European colonizers described the Orient people, and based on that, now the writers, maybe historical writers or literary writers, describe the Orient by using these particular panoramic views. These views are age old. Okay, the perspective must be changed. That's what he thinks. Yes, it is actually an erroneous view, a faulty view of humanity. This kind of view creates a simplistic interpretation of the human experience. Means it is oversimplified perception of the non-European people. So he think that we should reject it. This view should be rejected, and it must be replaced by one based on narrative, a historical view that emphasizes the very variety of human experiences in all cultures. It should not be one-sided. It should not be uh, only of one culture. It should be of varied culture. So this narrative view does not deny differences. Of course, differences are there, but these differences are presented in an objective way. In India, for example, we have diversity, and that diversity has to be accepted and looked from an objective way. Diversity in terms of caste, diversity in terms of religions, diversity in terms of languages. In every manner, there is a diversity in culture. So that has to be, pursued in an objective way. That's what Said thinks. Okay, now let's go ahead. So scholarship means the people who are engaged in these things, in these research or in writing the things. Scholarship must be derived from first-hand experience of a particular region. It should not depend on this panoramic view. Giving voice and presence to the critics who live and write in these regions. So everything is presented from that perspective, from that side. We should think of the people who live, the scholars, the critics who live in these regions. So scholarship should not scholarship from afar or second-hand representation. A representation of India by the Western scholar is not acceptable to say. Indian critics, Indian scholars, Indian people should come up with their own voices. Okay, so such ideas help the central issues, the shaping of the central issues of post-colonial theory. But we need to understand it was Said's use of French high theory along with Marxist ideology as a methodology to deconstruct and historically examine the roots of Orientalism attracted the attention of the academic world. Although French Fanon talked about, he is considered to be the early post-colonialist. It is Said's idea, Said's ideology and methodology attracted the attention of the academic world, and it inspired a new direction in post-colonial thought. He deconstructed and examined the roots of Orientalism. Okay, this is what we understand about Edward Said's contribution to the post-colonial theory.